Ken Krawchuk. I hate Zoom. I hate Zoom. Ken Krawchuk.
Madam Contest Master, I hate Zoom too. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I don't know about you, but I am so sick of Zoom meetings. I mean, enough is enough already. There's so much wrong with Zooming, I don't know where to begin. Maybe I'm being oversensitive to the problems, but when it comes to Zooming, I'm a member of two of the most vulnerable groups of people. First of all, I'm a computer guy. Second of all, I'm a Toastmaster, so I'm getting slammed from both sides. Let me give you some of the sordid details, and we'll start with the computer-related issues. The worst and most obvious problem with Zooming, and the one that gets the most press, is Zoom bombing. That's when someone joins your gathering who wasn't invited. Typically, they do all sorts of rude things, ranging from interrupting other speakers to broadcasting, well, let's call them interesting video images. Virtually everyone deplores Zoom bombers, but you know what? I don't. That's because the actual problem here has nothing to do with Zoom bombers. The true problem is more of a PEBKAC issue. PEBKAC, as you may know, is an acronym. P-E-B-K-A-C. We computer people, we use it all the time. It means problem exists between keyboard and chair. PEBKAC. In other words, when it comes to Zoom bombing, somebody was sloppy with their security and they either blabbed the Zoom link and password to the world, or they had no password at all. That means by someone's carelessness, they have personally created and empowered the Zoom bomber. They brought the disaster upon themselves. The obvious solution, obviously, is to treat your Zoom link and password like you would your online bank account. But not everybody does that. Zoom bombing is not the only PEBKAC issue with Zoom meetings. The number of annoying problems is immense. They can range from grandpa, who's never touched a computer in his entire life and has no clue what he's doing, to those immature young'uns who are just looking for attention and still manage to mess things up. But the most egregious example of all these PEBKACs is when someone tries to share their screen. Invariably, it takes them 3 minutes to do something that only needs 3 seconds. Hang on, they insist. I'll get it working, I'll get it going. Yeah, right. And then once they finally do get it working, they have no idea how to stop screen sharing. I don't know. Can someone please tell me why? Why do they call the software Zoom, given how slow it makes meetings? Somebody's got a sick sense of humor, that's for sure. And unfortunately, there are even more PEBKAC problems because invariably, no fewer than half the participants in any Zoom meeting will start talking while they have themselves muted. Am I right? Worse yet, several other muted speakers will start yelling at the muted speaker, telling him he's muted. And then even worse, there's the opposite problem, when someone does not mute themselves. And you have to listen to a parade of background noises, things like random off-camera speakers, dogs barking, babies crying, and worse. It always reminds me of that scene from a Leslie Nielsen movie where he forgets to turn off his lavalier mic and heads for the men's room. But I digress. The bottom line here is that there are a lot of problems with Zoom meetings that really rankle the computer guy in me. Is it any surprise that I hate Zoom? Oh, but wait, it gets worse. That's because I'm not just a computer guy, I'm also a Toastmaster. As you know, we Toastmasters are trained in how to communicate effectively in public, whether it's in person or on video. And let me confess, because of that training, Toastmasters has ruined my life. The sad truth is that most people have no clue how to communicate on video. The most common infraction is what I call the guillotine. Invariably, the top of someone's head is cut off, or the entire side of their face. Sometimes they sit so far away from the camera that they become unrecognizable, or so close that you can count nose hairs. Eesh. Fortunately, there's another all too common mistake that can hide those sins. And that mistake? It's having a bright background. Maybe it's a sunlit window or a TV, or maybe it's a lamp. Whatever is behind the speaker, it is so bright that the image of the person's face in the foreground becomes a dim, unrecognizable blur. And while that can be problematic, it certainly helps with that nose hair issue. And speaking of backgrounds, how about those canned ones? a tropical island, the Eiffel Tower, or some distracting psychedelic pattern. I really get a kick of that out of them because guaranteed at some point, the software is going to replace the person's finger with a palm tree. Another behavior that really annoys me is when the person turns off their video entirely. The clear message is that the person is not paying attention to the meeting. They're not engaged, and they're off doing something unrelated instead. I've been to Zoom meetings where everyone had their video turned off. And when I'm talking, how do I know they're paying attention? Odds are nobody is. And even if someone is savvy enough to first turn on the camera, then to center their image on the screen and avoid the bright backgrounds and the canned backgrounds, the camera angle often leaves much to be desired. Either it's looking down on them from above and all you see is their hair, or it's looking up on them from below. Toastmasters training tells us that the camera should be at eye level and far enough back you can see your shoulders. That way you have room to gesture and enough of a stage that people can actually see your gestures without you looking like some kind of a wild man. And when you speak, please, please don't read off your monitor. Always look directly into the camera. That way the deliberate illusion is that you're speaking directly to the watchers. I can't believe how many professionals somehow manage to skip this one critical step. Hey, maybe they should join Toastmasters? I don't know. Now do you understand why the Toastmaster in me hates Zoom? Why the computer guy in me hates Zoom? In fact, whenever I'm forced to use Zoom, I feel like a French sommelier forced to drink a New Jersey wine. Eesh. Is it any wonder that I'm the founder of a club named In-Person Toastmasters? Okay, enough of my whining. Maybe I'm setting the bar too high. Because in spite of all the problems with Zooming, there's one good side to it that I cannot ignore. Whether we're Zooming for professional reasons or for personal reasons, people still get the chance to hang out face to face. And that is a good thing, in spite of the nose hairs. But despite all the benefits, all the camaraderie, and all the friendship, it does not change the basic fact that I hate Zooming. Madam Contest Master.